Right, welcome to International Full Stroke Timeline Hangout 46. I wasn't going to make another one this year. I've got lots of things on, but I thought I'd do this anyway. So I'm going to call this Christmas Surprise. I'm recording it a bit before, but I'll put it out on Christmas Day. I've got a lot to do. Enough for the next two Hangouts. But I'm always looking for more. I've got themes for them. This is not. This is just a Christmas surprise. There's nothing special about this one. First of all, I may at some point, if I'm still alive and at liberty, go back to making live hangouts. But there's software problems. For me, at any rate. I'm still using Windows 7 like every other library, every library in this country, but I may try. I might try one through Facebook or even Zoom, but won't be a live one on YouTube as things stand. The other reason I'm making this pre-record is because my health has really deteriorated over the past few weeks, and I can edit out coughing and spluttering, so I never thought I'd do it before. No, I've really been in. I'll spare you my details on my medical problems, but I'll try not to cough and splutter. First of all, a few shout outs. Jack in Indiana had some correspondence with him recently over a matter. My Australian contact, who continues to send me some quite fascinating material, some of which has been included on the timeline, others which in due course will be. But it's actually been more of an inspiration than a source. It opened my eyes to one or two things. Shout out to site sponsor number 2, who, in spite of struggling financially with his businesses, sent me a Christmas present. Very welcome. And site sponsor number 1, who, although 5 years younger than me, is in even worse condition. So take it easy, geese. Right, so I've got quite a lot of things here. I'll probably add a screen grab or two at some point. Nothing in no particular order. This lot. It's sort of like a back file. First of all, our amusing case. This is from the Daily Kent Stater, September the 8th, 1998, page 7. You'll find this newspaper online. It's a student newspaper. Teenager Angela Colt went to Delta Epsilon, what do they call them, fraternity, in 1996 at Cambridge, Massachusetts. She claims to have been served so much alcohol she could not fend off her attacker. She was raped. It was attended on the fraternity on August 2nd, 1996, which happened to be my 40th birthday. Colt's co-worker was a DU brother from another college, living at MIT chapter over the summer, according to the Boston Globe. The alleged assailant was not a member of the fraternity. Matthew Keller was definitely not a brother, said Jeffrey L. Steinheider, 99 DU-ish chair. I don't know where they get these from. So she's sued. She's suing the institute and the fraternity for negligence. But she reported these into campus police 4 days after the party. 4 days after, and she expressly told the campus police she did not want to initiate any action against the man who she said had assaulted her. I mean, I might have this to the timeline. I couldn't find much information on it apart from that, but there really are. These women are absolutely pathetic. Teenager, that one, but now this is something rather interesting. I found this while researching. Well, I was at the library last week, and this is from the Crawley News, March 16th, 2016, page 3. Brave Ethel was baked to catch sex attacker in 1955. Actually, this guy wasn't a sex attacker, but it doesn't make it any well, I mean, less serious, I suppose. She was at this time she was 100 years old, and she actually died later in the year. This was March the what did I say it was? March the 16th, and June 1st, June 1st issue reported her death. She was a police sergeant in the Metropolitan Police, and in 1954-55 there were a series of attacks on women in Croydon, around Croydon. It's actually a Facebook page on it. It's like, no, it's the Met Police. So if you key in her name, Ethel Bush and Kathleen Parrott, WPC Kathleen Parrott, Kathleen with a K, Parrott with 2 R's and 2 T's, you should find it. They were set as decoy. This guy was attacking women in the area. Wasn't raping them, but all sexual assault. Just nutter. And they were sent, loads of police women were apparently set out as decoys. A bit more dangerous in those days when there was no. Well, they had radios, of course, but they didn't have tasers and things. Ethel caught this guy on the 23rd of April 1955. Spotted. This is a reading from police Facebook page now. Ethel spotted a man matching the description of the attacker. It was Barnett, William George Barnett. Counted. He picked up a log and brought it down the head from behind. So she obviously took her off him. Rather than fall to the ground, Ethel turned to face Barnett. With blood gushing down her face and shoulders, she grabbed hold of his jacket in an attempt to apprehend him. But unfortunately, Barnett punched through the face and escaped. He was subsequently arrested, and she and Kathleen Parrott got the George Medal. What I find interesting about this is that I looked up the Barnett case tonight, and he got 10 years. She was the first woman to begin to award the George Medal, Ethel, and it's yeah, I can't find the actual article now. Oh yeah, 10 years for footpath attacks. A 29-year-old labourer sentenced to 10 years. 10 years isn't enough, you know what I mean. I mean, he attacked 4 women. They were serious. Obviously, they weren't ultra serious, but you hit somebody over the head, even with a piece of wood, you don't know what's can burst a blood vessel or whatever. No, 10 years is definitely not. I mean, they could have given him a life sentence actually, and then, or you know, I mean, that's so that when he's released, he's on parole for the rest, on licence for the rest of his life. That's quite interesting. It shows the difference between real victims and head cases. I mean, she got a medal, retired from the police in 1971, and died at the age of 100. She didn't need therapy or years of counselling or anything like that. There's a lot of these women are utterly pathetic. And on the subject of heroic deeds, I found this is from the San Jose Mercury News, December 21st, 1995. 3 men from upstate New York were listening to music, playing Dungeons and Dragons, when reality interrupted and gave them a chance to become a real thing. They were in East Palo Alto apartment when a muffled scream interrupted their fantasy game. They turned on the radio and heard it again, a woman yelling, let me go, leave me alone. They looked out of the windows, saw a man staring over a woman just beyond the apartment complex, and they pounced on this guy, and he turned out to be a convicted rapist. So hopefully he'll have been put away for a long time. This is a oh, I shouldn't laugh at him. A bloke named Kerry Kohler was given an 11-year sentence for rape, and this was in 1996, America. He got an 11-year sentence for rape. They had DNA testing at that time, and it still is advancing all the time, you know. And it turned out that the DNA wasn't his, so he was released from prison. And then he was arrested last week, 4 years after being released from prison. Cole was charged with another rape. He probably had a sort of a history with that sort of thing, and it's really well, I suppose it's poetic justice. A little creature, Virginia Roberts Guthrie, is back in the news. On December 5th, Sunday Telegraph, Andrew accuser was on the game for a year. Prince Andrew's chief accuser was a prostitute who lied about her age and was paid $500,000 by Jeffrey Epstein, new court papers allege. She really is a horrible creature, this Guthrie. She's lied. The idea that she was trafficked, you know, she was forced to have sex with Andrew. He's absolutely ludicrous. He did himself no favours by denying he ever met her. He could have said a gentleman never tells, or I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. But she's trash, you know. She's absolute trash. And some people are waking up, not just Dershowitz. I found a couple of people commenting on the case who said that she was like me. Well, out of her own mouth, she was much more perpetrator than victim. I don't think she was a victim at all. She's admitted she. Mr. Guthrie always insisted she's a victim and never a willing participant. That's a complete lie. That's a complete lie. She's admitted on camera that she she claimed she, Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were sort of like a family, you know. She was a prostitute. She should crawl back to the outback with her cut husband, who will be reminded of Jeffrey Epstein every time he kisses her on the lips. She's complete rubbish, and I hope she gets what she deserves. This is truly amazing. This is Hating Women Online: A Refuge of Scoundrels by Julia Baird. This is in the Australian, November 28th. Well, I started hosting a TV show. I didn't expect every day when I signed off and returned to my computer, there'd be a message from a bloke telling me which particular implement or technique he'd employ to anally rape me, but there it was. I just go on about the murky underworld of misogyny online, in the manosphere, all this rubbish. A chilling important new book by British journalist Laura Bates, Men Who Hate Women. Laura is a professional victim. I've written 2 or 3 articles about her. Mike Buchanan made her lying feminist of the month, I think, a couple of times, or whiny feminist of the month. She describes it as an interconnected spectrum of different but related groups linked by misogyny, a vast spiderweb of sites, blogs, forums, chat rooms, groups and social media accounts which young boys can easily blunder across. Look, let's to begin with, this isn't misogyny, this is trolling. Trolls tend to be men, but they're not always. There have been women who've been convicted of some quite horrible stuff. The people who, the men and on occasion women who make these if we start, these are largely anonymous or pseudonymous, so you don't know who these people are. So it could be either sex, and on occasion the so-called victims send themselves hate mail. You'll find cases like that on the timeline. Meg Lanker Simons is one who springs to mind. This isn't misogyny, this is trolling. Don't feed the trolls. But not nasty as it is, these are the same sort of people who occasionally people set up Facebook and other tribute pages for usually people who've died young, or perhaps died by their own hand. And these are the same sort of people who post malicious messages like burn in hell and stuff like that. It's nothing to do with hating women. It's puerile stuff. Most of them, the overwhelming majority of them are young. Young people do all sorts of stupid things. Anyone under the age of about 25. For others, it's much worse. For women of colour, particularly, is it? Women of what colour? This is just complete rubbish. Of course, what they want is more censorship. Somehow links this to the Christchurch massacre. Just absolutely ludicrous. Close those. Now, Malik, this is an interesting case. Malik, there's a detective, Shazad Malik, who was based at Hounslow Police Station. He met this young woman on an Islamic dating site. I would assume that she was after marriage, and men are not necessarily after marriage. Anyway, he took her somewhere. He was accused of rape. Invited her back to his police accommodation. She complained 2 days later. Normally, I would say the delay shows regret, but if she's actually a Muslim, she's a sort of devout sort of person. He was charged with he faced 3 counts. This was in 2010. The prosecution offered no evidence, but he was sacked anyway. They had an internal disciplinary hearing, and they found him guilty. They said basically, in fact, he was guilty of rape. Not just of unprofessional conduct, but of rape. So they sacked him. There's a freedom of information request here from a young lady, or not, maybe not such a young lady, Moore, M-O-O-R-E. A rank connection with request for information was received by Nottingham Police on 19th of December. How many allegations of rape and sexual assault have been reported by Nottinghamshire Police in the last 5 years? How many allegations were deemed to be false allegations? There's other stuff. You'll find this online. It's under freedom of information. And they haven't actually replied. Well, they've replied, but they haven't given proper. To retrieve and extract the information for part of your request will exceed the cost threshold of 18 hours under Section 12 of the Freedom of Information Act. So they've declined to follow. Declined to give her a proper reply. I've got quite a lot of freedom of information cases here on the timeline. Let's just have a look at Nottinghamshire. Oh yeah. Well, they replied to someone. This is another freedom. This is another freedom of information request. Freedom of information. This is somebody under. This is 2009 to August 2014. So it covers. That last one was 2012. Some detailed figures here. 2009, there were 55 no crimes. 2014, there were 14 no crimes. If there's a break in the film, I've just sneezed. So that's yeah. There's quite a lot on. I've had quite a lot recently. Clearly, one or two quite remarkable cases. So, if you haven't visited the Force Rape timeline for recently or ever, take a gander. forcerapetimeline.org. Police prosecutor, what's this? Yeah, it's not particularly interesting. Oh, this one is interesting. Where are we? Somaly Mam. We've got a file open somewhere. Oh yes! Victims can lie as much as others. Victims can lie as much as other people. By Pat Joseph in The Atlantic. Perfidious magazine. June the 5th, 2014. When the Somaly Mam scandal, what the Somaly Mam scandal says about the media's treatment of humanitarian heroes. Heroes? Somaly Mam. If you haven't heard of Somaly Mam, she has a page on the timeline. She was a prostitute. She married some French Cambodian prostitute. Some idiot French aid worker married her, and she duped a lot of people, including Hillary Clinton. That takes some doing. She got a lot of money. It says now Margaret Sullivan, the public editor of the New York Times, is calling on Christoph to give readers a full explanation of his report on Somaly Mam, the celebrated Cambodian anti-sex trafficking activist who, according to a recent Newsweek expose, fabricated parts of her story and those of some of the victims she advocated for. She's just a liar. She was a prostitute. And the idea that she comes out of this with any credit at all. It covers the Long Pros case. This is quite despicable. Long Pros, or Long Pros, however you pronounce her name. She was presented to the world as it's meant to have been snatched off the street, forced to work in a brothel, and then had her eye gouged out by a female brothel keeper, female pimp, which is a horrible story. In fact, rather than being a horrible story, it was actually an inspirational one. Along pros, she lived with her parents who were quite poor in the country, and she had a sort of tumour, really horrible growth on her face, and it was swallowed. I mean, you can see this occasionally online. It was like swallowed her head, and there was an NGO. Someone put her in touch with an NGO, and somebody accompanied her to I think it's Phnom Penh, isn't it? And a very prestigious surgeon, local surgeon, operated on her, got rid of the tumour but couldn't save her eye. So her right eye, I think it's her right eye. It's on the timeline anyway. Couldn't save her eye, which is, so it's bad enough. But somehow she found Somaly Mam, or Mam found her, and came up with this horrible story. And it's just, I mean, she's a scam artist, Somaly Mam. She reminds me a bit like a bit of Jeffrey Archer. Somebody will raise $1 million for a worthy cause and take $750,000 as expenses and consultancy fee. Really, I mean, just she's like Virginia Roberts. She was a prostitute. Not quite as horrible as, well, I don't know, you can argue that. Deserves no credit at all. So that's Somaly Mam. And this is quite interesting. Alberta judge taints sex assault trial by entering the fray and seeming to advocate for female victim. Really? This is an article last year from the National Post of Canada. It was written by a guy named Adrian Humphreys. Christy Blatchford used to cover these sorts of stories, but she died in February this year. She was suffering from cancer, so I presume that I don't know, but she didn't write this anyway. As I've said before, Canada is the worst country in the world to be accused of any sexual offence. Worse than Saudi Arabia, because although rape is capital there, they require real evidence. Canada judges are being indoctrinated. Judges are being indoctrinated. And this is a case which sounds a bit dubious. Sounds like it might have been not a forcible rape, but there are no jury trials in Canada anyway for rape, which is called sexual assault. During cross-examination, the trial judge, Stephanie Cleary, interjected almost 50 times, despite the questions covering just 30 pages of the trial transcript of 325 pages. So obviously she would convict. A sexual assault conviction has been overturned by the Court of Appeal of Alberta after a judge entered the fray and acted like a victim's advocate, interrupting and deflecting questions to the female complainant to such an extent it created an unfair trial. A 2017 trial in Fort McMurray heard evidence of a woman who went out drinking with a male friend and his friends at a bar. The three then went home. The three then went to the home of one of the men, where she became ill and fell. She testified next thing she remembered as being naked on a bed in a dark room with two men. One was raping her and the other was holding her arms. She fled into the cold night without her shoes, purse or jacket. Quite a feat if she's being raped by two men. Soon after, she was picked up by the two men who came looking for her in a car, where she secretly recorded them talking. Soon after, she was picked up by the two men who came looking for her in a car, where she secretly recorded them talking before the car was stopped by police, and she left with the officers. The two men were arrested and charged. The accused in this appeal testified at his trial, saying he went to sleep in another bed that night and awoke to find her arguing with his friend. He denies assaulting her. Any time there's alcohol involved, you know, it's so many of these cases. Just Christy Blatchford. Guess I mentioned. What's this? I know she's from 20. It's the Aurora case. Yeah, it was that slut. Apparently the accused was Spanish, or was speaking Spanish, or his first language was I don't know, but it's the whole thing. Stay away from drunk women, and women don't get drunk and go with men. On that, there's a different. Anyway, a new trial's been ordered. It sounds to me like this guy, he's guilty. Or both of them are guilty, but it's sort of stupid. An accused must have a fair trial. That reminds me, there's another case here, which I'll make this the last one. This is from Redcar, if I can find it. In 2017, there was you'll find a lot of actually on the timeline about this, a whole page, and I dug out a lot of reports from the local press. March the 3rd, 2017, a woman and a young child are snatched from the seafront at Redcar. Or are they? And this was, there's a lot of information here. This was a complete fake. She claimed to have been snatched by two men and raped by both of them. One man was arrested. The second man didn't exist. And this was actually a massive story, covered pages and pages in the local press. She faced no charges, which probably because she's got a young kid. She should have been charged because somebody was arrested. On December 15th last year, a woman got drunk in a club and she accepted a lift. She waited for a bus. She accepted a lift off Qadar Ahmadi, Darbaz Jalil Haji and Aram Kudur Hussain. She accepted a lift from them, probably afraid they'd think she was racist if she didn't. And she was gang raped, and they got a total of 48 years behind bars. It reminds me, must be 25 years or more ago. Over 25 years ago, I was coming back from Croydon. Come off a bus for some reason, and I changed buses at Selhurst, which is, I don't know why, and I was waiting for a bus at Selhurst, and there was a few of us there. There was a black woman, about 30 something. A car pulled up with 3 or 4 black dudes in it. I offered her a lift, and she turned them down politely. I thought, you get in that car, you won't get out alive. No, is it safer with 2 men or 3? And it can be unsafe for men as well. Certainly, if women have been drinking. So, anyway, the next hangout will be obviously sometime in the new year. Probably second week. Probably about the second week of the new year. I've got a lot of. I've added quite a lot to the timeline recently. I've got 2 subjects lined up. which one I've discussed before in some terms, and I've got other projects, so I've got to do other things, but I'll keep adding to the timeline. There's over 50, well over 5,100 entries now. Once again, if anybody's got anything they want to send me, dollars are very welcome. But any cases, especially in from the non-English speaking world, from anything in foreign languages, much appreciated. Anyone has any questions? It's quite reserved now with the videos I've done. Not just the hangouts, but I made one on Jimmy Savile recently. I made one about the same time on Jim Hopper, who's basically an intellectual prostitute, a bit like David Lissack, only he's a scientist, a bona fide scientist. And there's one rape and corroboration, and one called "These Bitches Are Playing You." You can check those out in the Internet Archive. But anyway, I'll keep on with the timeline. Have a. I don't celebrate Christmas myself. I'll be having a chicken biryani for Christmas dinner, or Christmas late dinner. But take care of yourselves, this pandemic and everything, and I will catch up with you sometime in the new year, hopefully.